Good evening. First tonight, we're facing the worst outbreak we've seen since the Northern Beaches cluster, with a highly infectious Delta strain identified in our eastern suburbs. There is a serious question tonight because it all began with an unvaccinated driver working in our quarantine system who somehow wasn't undergoing regular testing. This is the latest information. There are 3 confirmed cases, including a woman from the inner west, with another positive case under investigation in Balcombe Hills. There is a growing list of exposure sites tonight, from the eastern beaches to Zetland and Redfern. And already other states are changing their border restrictions. Ursula Hager begins our coverage.
At Sydney Airport this afternoon, long lines of passengers flying out as it was revealed our latest COVID outbreak is the highly infectious Delta strain.
This strain does not match anything that's been uploaded in Australia at this time, but it does match perfectly a sequence that's been uploaded from the US.
It's thought to have come in from a flight crew on a FedEx freight plane, transmitted to their unvaccinated limousine driver when he picked them up at Sydney Airport. Police are now investigating whether he has breached the rules.
We will not sit idle. We will investigate. We will come to some outcomes. But in the meantime, we'll also look at every single process within that hotel quarantine system.
Under the health orders, anyone working to transport flight crew should be undergoing daily saliva tests and wearing protective equipment. But it wasn't until health officials realised the driver had never been tested that his first was done last Tuesday and the positive result uncovered. He's now admitted he had symptoms from the 13th, which means he may have been infectious up to 48 hours earlier.
Being slack about what the health authorities ask you to do is just inexcusable. You have obligations, and your obligations are legal.
From the first case, the driver, his wife, has now tested positive, alongside a woman in her 70s exposed at the Bell Cafe in Vaucluse. Health has now also uncovered another case, a man in his 40s from Balcombe Hills that isn't linked. He's being retested to confirm the result.
The health is still determining whether it's a false positive or an old case, as the viral load in his system was very low.
There are a growing list of exposure sites across the city's east. So many, some this morning didn't realise they'd been put at risk.
Oh crap, does that mean I have to isolate?
Were you there?
Yeah, I go there every day. Should probably go home, shouldn't I?
Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe go get a test.
All right, sounds good.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm worried now.
There are fears restrictions are coming.
Yeah, for sure. I want to make sure I get a negative test and that all the restrictions don't have to come back in. That's what I'm hoping for.
Live up the road, a little bit nervous, but I mean, there's not much you can do.
We're asking people to modify their activity, to consider where they've been, what their movements have been and what the movements may be.
But the big question here is why a frontline quarantine worker is unvaccinated. The Premier says all New South Wales Health and police are, but this man is a private contractor and it's not compulsory.
Because at this stage we don't have, through the National Cabinet process, we don't have the green light to mandate that.
A worrying gap in our defences that's now allowed the virus to break through.
Well, Ursula joins me now at the desk. And Ursula, there is a new exposure site that's just come to light.
Well, yes, Sandra, I understand that this one has been uncovered as New South Wales Health continues their discussion with the driver and his wife. It's the Harris Farm supermarket at Leichhardt on Tuesday the 15th from 9:50am to 10:05, so just a 15-minute window there. Anyone who was there should get tested and isolate until further advice. One case we need to watch, though, is this man in his 40s from Balcombe Hills. It is a worry because he hadn't visited any of those exposure sites and he lives in a different part of the city. But given that he has a low viral load, it might be that this case is a false positive or an old case. They're now also testing all of his household contacts as a precaution. We will bring you an update on those results as soon as we know. But Sandra, we have been here before in Sydney. We know the drill. It's get tested, isolate and regularly check that website.
Indeed. Good advice as always. Thanks, Ursula.